Today I'm going to be restoring the Matchbox number 13D, the Dodge wrecking truck, first built in 1965. Right, this has been scribbled on with some indelible pens by the looks of it. The hook's missing and the jib is spread at the back there. Stickers are missing, of course. Paint damage, more black texture on the front for whatever reason. On this side here again the stickers wrecked, need to be replaced, and there's a lot of crud in the wheels. A bit of dirt in the back here. So I'm going to go and pull this apart to clean it, strip it down, ready for painting. Oh, rusty axles too. So first up, put it into the vise using the vise clamps here I made out of aluminium so I don't damage the model. Drill out the rivets, thus, oops, hang on, better tighten that up. Now the rivets are drilled out, I just use a flat bladed screwdriver and wedge it in there between the crane and the tray of the truck. Prise the back open. So once I've loosened the back, I do the same thing to the front. Use the screwdriver to leave the front off. There we go. After separating the cabin from the tray, I whip out the windscreen and the red beacon off the top of the cabin. As you can see, the beacon's a little bit dull and scuffed up, so I'll give that a polish and some varnish later, and that should come up looking good. As usual, I'm going to drill a hole into these rivet posts and then tap them with a screw thread. Here are the miniature domed headed Allen screws that I should be using when I put it back together. Here I am using a digital vernier caliper gauge to measure the width of the screws. As you can see, they are 2mm wide, therefore I should be using a 2mm tap to cut the screw thread in the hole. As recommended by some of my subscribers, I am using my drill press to accurately drill out the rivet posts. Once that's done, it's time to tap the threads in the holes. Firstly, I apply a little bit of engine oil as a lubricant for the tap. Now I'm cutting the screw threads. Here I'm putting the screws in prior to painting. That way they will match the colour of the original rivets. The wheels of the model are held onto the axle by a small flange or burr on the end. I'm going to remove that with my Dremel so I can take the wheels off before painting the body. When removing the burr, you need to be very careful that you don't damage the tyres, especially if you intend to reuse them like I do. Now I'm going to remove all of the original paint using paint stripper. I really should recommend that you wear rubber gloves when you're using this paint stripper, as it can cause chemical burns to your skin. After applying the paint stripper, I leave the model for a few minutes so the paint stripper can dissolve the paint. I then remove the paint in a bath of water using a toothbrush. Sometimes it may be necessary to repeat the paint stripping process, as not all of the paint may come off first time around. Now that all the paint's been removed, we can have a close-up look at the detail on this model. Here, for example, you can see the raised word Dodge on the side of the cabin. Unfortunately, this model is so worn that you cannot read the number plate. However, the headlights and grille are still in good condition. The plastic windscreen had a few minor scratches on it. I've cleaned those off using this Autosol aluminium cleaner and a soft cloth. Seems to work quite well. Next I use this Tamiya high gloss clear varnish to coat the dome light and the windscreen to make them look extra glossy. To paint the cabin and tray, I used Rivet enamel paints, green number 61 and yellow number 12. I always superglue screws onto the back of the components I'm painting, so I've got something to hold them with. Here's a shot of the undercoated cabin and tray. Here's a shot of my spray booth made out of a polystyrene box. Some of these trucks can be found with a green cabin and a yellow tray. This was a trial run that Matchbox bought out in the 1970s. They're very rare and they can fetch as much as $3,000 if you've got one. But today I'm going to paint mine in the traditional colours of the yellow cabin and the green tray. For spraying, I mix my enamel paints with about 1/3 to 1/4 of mineral terps. Before spraying the paint onto the model, I always do a test spray to make sure that there's no spluttering or blockage in the nozzle. I gave this model 2 or 3 coats. The idea is to make it appear wet, but not too wet so that runs occur. That way you get a good high gloss finish. The only downside with using this Rivet enamel paint is it takes a very long time to dry. To totally cure, it takes around about 24 hours. Now it's time to take care of these rusty axles. To do this, I use my battery drill and wire wool. Next up, I've got to clean the wheels to get rid of all the muck that's on them. These ones have got very little wear on them, and after cleaning they come up looking pretty much like brand new. I had to order a new hook off the internet, and finally today it came. These hooks come in 3 colours. You can get grey, yellow or red. Today I got a red one. This reproduction hook is quite well made. There's no evidence of any excessive flashing on the surrounds of the plastic. Could even be 3D printed, I don't know. Also in the mail I received some new BP stickers to put on the side of the vehicle. So let's have a look at those now. First impressions are not that good. They seem to be cheaply made, and the colour is a little bit washed out. The BP shield is not central and is actually very close to the bottom of the sticker, and they're basically just printed on sticky back paper, so probably not up to the standard of the originals. Here's a couple of spare water slide BP transfers that I have. I'm actually thinking I might use these as the colours are brighter and I'll be able to centralise them better. The only problem is I'm going to have to paint the background white before I can put the transfers on. To mask off the area that I've got to paint white, I bought some Tamiya masking tape, 10mm thick. I'm just doing a test fit here to see roughly the area that I'm going to have to mask off and paint. I'm hoping the masking tape will give me a nice sharp edge to my white box that I'm going to paint on the side. That looks about the right size. Now to finish the masking off, I cut a square hole in a sheet of A4 paper to shield the rest of the vehicle from overspray. Rather than using my spray brush for this small job, I'm taking a shortcut and using a can of Tamiya premix paint. Here's what it looks like when I take off the masking tape. Not quite as neat as I would have liked, so I'm going to try and tidy this up a little bit and see how it comes out. Here I am now doing the other side. Hope it turns out better than the first time round. Well, the white squares didn't turn out as well as I'd liked. Nonetheless, I'm now going to put the wheels back on using my modified nail dolly in my drill press. Here I am setting the depth of my drill press so that when I press down on the axles to form the ends, I don't damage the wheels. So with the drill spinning, pressing down with moderate pressure, the end of the axle's deformed and it ends up looking like this, and that's what holds the wheels on. So now it's time for me to put the water slide transfers onto the model. So for this you need a little bowl of warm water, so I just drop those in. And using tweezers I slide the transfer off of the backing paper. It can be quite tricky. Always moisten the model first with a little dab of water before you put the transfer on, and this enables you to move the sticker around slightly rather than it adhering instantly in the wrong position. And when you got it where you want it, you just squeegee with a cotton bud any excess moisture out from underneath the transfer. You don't want to drag with the cotton bud, you want to roll it, otherwise you risk moving the transfer or worse, tearing it. Now here I'm preparing the second transfer to go on the other side. This one I'm not cutting quite as close because I found it difficult to get the backing paper out before as there wasn't enough material to grip with the tweezers. This is my third attempt at getting the transfer on here. The second one didn't work out too well. If you look near the knuckles of my left hand, you can see it's screwed up on the table. It happens from time to time. Now it's time for me to put the model back together. So I start with the red beacon. I have to use tweezers for this because it's so small. Drop that in the hole there. That's held in place by the windscreen, which just clicks in, so no need to glue it this time around. Push it down with a cotton bud, there we go. Looks good. Now this slips down over the chassis. Don't push down on that because it will fall in. So So gently squeezing it together, trying to align those rivet posts up with the holes, and there it goes, it just clicked in. Lovely, looks good. When I turn it over now, I can see there's a little gap at the front, so I just squeeze it lengthways, and that's sorted that out. Now I'll put in the colour match screws, and they're a really nice finish. They bear resemblance to the original rivets. There's just one more thing to do, and that's put the hook in. Here's a close-up of the hook. You can see it's narrow at one end and fat at the other, so you put the narrow end in between the jib and pull forwards, or backwards in this case, and if, like me, you put it on round the wrong way, you take it off and turn it round, and there it goes. Lovely. So that's all back together. Now let's have a look at the finished product. Here's a quick reminder of what we had to work with. And here's what it looks like now. I'm not too happy about the sticker. I guess next time I'll just spend a little bit extra and get a decent sticker set. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your fantastic feedback and your vote of confidence with your subscriptions. I really appreciate all your support. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Oh, you idiot thing. Oh, you this.